Okay, I think we'll go on and get started. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Bryce Reed with NC Lug. I'd like to welcome you all to this week's NC Lug presentations for the NCDOT OpenX Rollout Week. OpenX refers to the different Bentley Connection Edition brands, and NC Lug is proud to partner with NCDOT to bring you these updates. This session will be on signing and delineation. We'll get started in just a minute, but first I have a few housekeeping details. The webinar is a presentation, so all attendees will be muted. Whenever you join, please remember to mute your mic. At any time during the webinar, if you have any questions, you can submit them into the chat box, and at the end of the presentation, we'll try to get back to those. This webinar will be recorded, and it'll be posted on the NC Lug website later on. We are offering PDH credits to anybody who is registered for the webinar. If you are not registered for the webinar and you don't attend the live meeting, you will not receive the PDH credits for this. And now I'd like to introduce Walter Johnson with NCDOT.
Good afternoon, everybody. Once again, my name is Walter Johnson. I'm with the Signing and Delineation Unit. And I'm going to talk to you, hopefully for the next 30 minutes, about what we do in signing and delineation and some of the stuff we are currently doing, and hopefully some of the future stuff we will be doing. Quick outline. I'll do an overview of signing and delineation. Like I said, some of our current plans and some of hopefully the future stuff we can do with ORD, and some training, some internal training that we have done, and maybe some external training with some of the firms. The purpose of signing and delineation, this is taken directly from our procedure manual. Signs and markings are traffic control devices used to promote highway safety and efficiency by providing for the orderly movement of all road users on streets, highways, bikeways, and private roads open to public travel throughout North Carolina. To be efficient, all signs and marking traffic control devices should meet 5 basic requirements. First, fulfill a need. Second, command attention. Third, convey a clear, simple meaning. Fourth, command respect from road users. Fifth, give adequate time for proper response. You can find this in our procedure manual on our website if you want to read the whole document. This is a quick view of our ribbon in ORD. We have put basically just the basic icons that we use on our ribbon. We have our guide sign program. This will open our MDL app for our sign design program. We have our printer, text. We have our marking, sales, just any basic thing that we might use in order to complete our plans. We have room for more. If you guys have any comments or advice, we can delete or add. We do have room for more. This next ribbon here is actually our for our guide sign design program. Everything here is set by the program. And this is also part of our sign design program. This is a Uh, New ribbon, it lets you set up a sign assembly. You can either do a sign assembly for a single sign or for multiple signs. And you can also do a sign assembly from signs that you have designed. I have a write-up on all of this. Uh, if you would like that, we can talk about it after this meeting. You can send me an email, or you can send one to Jeff, and he can get it to me. Either way. And this is a little closer view of our main ribbon, where you can see our sales, which will open up a library for each type of sale library we have. And like I said, here we have the markings, or the different line styles that we use. We have an existing and a proposed. Usually the existing shows up as a more shaded area, where the proposed will be solid or thicker lines. Uh, Also, I'm going to get into just a few slides that show just our different plans, different sheets that we use. This is from a cross section. This is our showing our overhead structures, our structure line drawing. We use the cross sections from roadway, but hopefully soon we can start doing our own cross sections, where we can actually be exactly on the station instead of being, 50 feet off or 100 feet off from where the sign is actually being constructed. We can actually be on the station and see what's there, if there is any utilities in the way, or if we have to go further out with the structure, depending on the cuts or fills that we might have. This is from our sign design program, which currently is Guide Sign. I know that ORD comes with their own sign design program, which is SignCAD. But currently SignCAD is not a feasible program for us right now, because it's more orientated to doing for production being more for the cutting of a sign, or the actual physical design of the sign used by, say, like the sign plant in Bunn. Uh, this program we're using now is called GuideSign Pro, or GuideSign 8, and it is able to give us a report, and it will show the different spacing between the text and the margins, borders, and the thickness, different things like that, which are needed to actually design the sign and to show on our plans. This is a typical sheet from uh, one of our plans. Usually we go from beginning to end project and lay out our signs, and usually the signs are either sales or actual designs that we reference in. We usually use a roadway file and reference that, and we reference our signs onto that roadway file. Like I said, either using sales or actual designs that we've already designed. We were using in SS4 to get stationing. we were using the COGO program. It's a labeling program that lets us easily get the stationing off of a TIN file. Hopefully with ORD, I know the new version of ORD has a labeling program, and from what I've seen of it, it looks pretty good. Hopefully we can get familiarized with that enough and be able to use that as well as we're using the old SS4 COGO from Geopack. Here's a plan from our pavement marking. As you can see, pavement markings have a lot more labeling with it, because depending on the change in marking, we usually label that marking and label the change from where it starts to where it ends. And as you can see, something like this roundabout will have a lot of labeling to it. And like I mentioned, uh, we're just starting to use ORD and getting into their labeling system. So it'll be a small learning curve for us, and hopefully we can pass that on to the different contractors and firms that we use. And here's a little simpler pavement marking plan detail. Uh, this is a future representation of what hopefully our plans will be able to look like. This is taken off of a guide sign screenshot. Right now, the new guide sign program does offer a 3D view for our signs. It's not a true 3D representation. It's more of a view and uh, offset type, but we are looking into doing a full 3D representation where it shows, the depth of the sign actually into the ground, and the true offsets given the elevations. And we're also looking, I know ORD will help us do our quantities with using future definitions. And we are looking into that too. And like I said, once we get a handle on it, hopefully we can pass it on to our the firms that we're using and the different consultants. And this is a little closer screenshot of one of those views. Just you can see where you can see it gives a good 3D view, but it is not a true 3D picture because it doesn't really show the elevation or the depth. But hopefully we can get in that into the future. And maybe soon we can start offering some training into our new um, sign design program, which is Guide Sign 8. We recently have done some internal training with ORD, just getting into some more of the specifics of our unit into ORD, and with Guide Sign 8, just showing the uses of the different icons and the different designs, and especially the new sign assembly program. Like I said, we will hopefully soon be offering some training. We're currently doing some internal training and testing with ORD. In fact, I am working on a bridge project with ORD right now. And hopefully soon there's a test project going around, and I want to get into that and see how the different things that we were doing in SS4 pan out in ORD. And that's about all I have right now. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Just interrupt me, or I'll just ramble on for the rest of the evening.
Excellent presentation, Walter. No rambling at all. That's very interesting. Thank you.
Oh, and I did spell this correctly.
That's the going conversation each session. So thank you for that.
Any questions, comments?
This is Patty, and I just put in the notes that NC is in talks with Transoft about hosting a guide sign webinar sometime maybe in August or September. So there'll be invites that go out on the NC website coming up, but I just figured I'd let everybody know that since it would be of most interest to these folks on this call.
So, Walter, I got a question. Had the signing unit look at some of the 3D pavement markings and for like, I know you mentioned quantities before.
We've just started looking into the some of the 3D stuff because we know that'll be in our future. And if anybody knows of anybody that has started doing any type of 3D markings or even any 3D sign work, please let us know.
Yeah, we kind of started the conversation. It was never meant to do what you guys do, but in our templates now, all our templates are lane based and it has, pavement markings everywhere on the 3D model. And we know that that's your area expertise.
We have a few questions coming in through the chat. Are you looking at using item types to help you with sign quantities?
Yes, we are, because that will be a big alternative instead of just having to count everything by hand. We are definitely starting to look into that, and hopefully that will be in our near future, and I mean near being within the next few months.
Can or will drainage signals, utilities, etc., be added to the 3D view for conflict identification?
That I don't know, but if it is added, it would help us, especially when we start putting in our overhead structures.
Yeah, that's the overall goal for this, is that we will get all that into the 3D at some point so we can use it for the conflict identification. And with the signs, it'll be nice because you can show, how far, excuse me, how far down the base of those signs actually goes down, and if it's going to hit any utilities or any of the drainage, that should show up in the conflict identification.
Is NCDOT looking at sign CAD as an alternative to guide sign? Does it work better than guide sign plus at the 3D aspect because it's associated with ORD?
We are still looking into using SignCAD, especially since it's offered with ORD. But that will be something that's ongoing. Right now, we're going to stick with GuideSign until we get a better handle on SignCAD. And especially once SignCAD starts to be a feature within ORD, because right now SignCAD is a standalone program.
I think this last question was already answered. Can or will sign foundations be added to the 3D view? I think that was hopefully.
Yeah, that's more of a future, something within the next, hopefully within the next year or two.
Do we have any more questions or comments? Anything? All right. I put the email address if you do have any comments or anything about the presentations or the ORD implementation. It's in the chat box. It's the ncdot.ord.implementation.initiative at ncdot.gov. Once again, oops, looks like we're getting some more questions. Will this work with NC1 map?
Will what work with NC1 map? Will the 3D view work with NC1 map, or will GuideSign work with NC1 map?
Samuel Coleman, if you want to unmute yourself, you can.
I did. Sorry about that. Walter, you know how sometimes we do a plan view when we're laying out the signs. I usually use one map in the background. And I just wasn't sure if NC1 map, if you could still bring it into the background when you're using open roads.
Yes.
Great. Thank you.
All right.
Hey, Walter, this is David Sears with RK&K. I got a quick one. It's probably easier just to unmute and say it than to type it. For utility conflict identification, especially aerial stuff, if you've got overhead power lines, transmission or distribution, is the 3D modeling aspect of utilities within open roads going to be accurate enough to show elevations at different points on the span considering sag?
From what I've seen of the 3D view, it should show all type of elevation. Once it's fully implemented, I don't see why it shouldn't.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? You can unmute yourself and ask. You don't have to type it in the chat box. All right. Well, if that's it, once again, this webinar has been recorded and it'll be put onto the NCLUG website later on. If you do have any questions or feedback or anything, you can send it to the NCDOT ORD email that's on the screen now, or to Jeff Garland. If we don't have any more questions, I'll just end it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Walter.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Walter.
Thanks, Walter. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Walter.